I am here with actress Margot Bingham, who's also a singer. But
Yes.
before we get into your multi-talented life that you are leading, I read somewhere that you started out as a model at age 9, right, in Pittsburgh?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
I
we're
did.
taking it
Oh
way
wow,
back.
you were taking it back.
Yeah, I'm not playing.
All right. Oh my God.
One
yeah.
of your first steps.
I did. I know, really. I definitely did start out as a model. It was kind of just like it was like my playtime, and my mom never took it too seriously. She was totally not the stage soccer mom,
Right.
and neither was my dad. So that was cool. It was for Kaufman's out of Pittsburgh, so shout out to anybody in Pittsburgh. Hey Kaufman's, you guys know the real.
Hashtag Kaufman's.
Hashtag Kaufman's. Kaufman's forever. But now, which is now Macy's. But it was me, this other girl, and this guy, or little boy, we were like 9, 10.
Yeah.
And I would come in, they would paint my nails, they would do my hair, they would put me in some like Levi's or some like Macy's General, and they would play music, we would dance, they would take pictures, and then I would go to school. And that was the highlight of my week. I could not wait to get off the elevator, to bust around the corner and come in and see my friends, just to get like my nails done and like my hair done. And they would put like little extension pieces in. And this was before extensions and everything was like more, natural as it is now. But they would put like colored, like weave-in colored into my braids. And like, I mean, I felt like the coolest kid in school. And then I would come to school and feel so embarrassed that I was wearing like colored extensions and my nails were painted. I was like, I just want to be normal.
Now, how long did it take from you kind of dabbling in the modeling to finding your voice as a singer and then ultimately pursuing both that and acting as a career?
Modeling didn't last for too long. It was probably, I would say, 2 or 3 years. And then Kaufman's kind of faded out naturally anyways. They started going bankrupt and lost money and then turned into Macy's. And then I started aging out too.
Right.
I didn't really want to follow into the modeling career that wasn't, other than just like playing and dancing with my friends. I had no interest of being in front of a camera like that.
Right.
That was way too much pressure for me, and I really respect models for that. I am not that. I was always in music. I was always in acting. I did the triple threat, the singing, dancing, acting. My main focus, though, was singing. Dancing came second. Acting came last. And it really wasn't until I was a senior in high school that acting clicked for me, ironically. I still work with the same acting teacher, my acting teacher that came into the Performing Arts High School where I went in Pittsburgh, that started the same day that I started my freshman year. We started together, and he still is a teacher in Pittsburgh, and he is still my coach to this day.
That's very cool.
He really was the one that introduced acting to me, the way that I felt connected to it. Other teachers had tried. I'd been in acting classes since I was 4. Equally as long as my singing and dancing, but it just never felt like my own thing. It always felt like I was on the outside looking in. I could never really connect with musical theater. I was never going to be the My Fair Lady lead. Ethnically and just personally, I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere.
Right.
So when I met Billy, I really, I kind of figured out my own lane.
Speaking of that lane, when you decided that acting was going to be one of your primary focuses, did you have a genre that you wanted to conquer and do it in any kind of order, or did you just want to do theater, movies, film, or television, and not be picky and choosy?
Yeah, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't go into acting thinking that there was even a choice, really, because my idea was to graduate from high school, go right to college, and college usually meant studying for theater and then going and performing in theater and then going off to showcase and then off of showcase possibly auditioning in front of agents, the whole way that it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
I didn't consider TV and film mostly because a lot wasn't in Pittsburgh. A lot of opportunities were not in Pittsburgh like they are now. But also because I thought that I was too young for that. I didn't think that that was a possibility. And going into college, that is not a possibility unless you're working with a friend that is doing like their student film or their senior project, which I did do a couple of those. But yeah, my idea was to just kind of go through school and finish school and then follow the route that every actor does.
Right.
Just try.
And now one of your first roles was In Between Men
Yes.
as Kendra.
Yes.
And you also starred in a web series, which you were nominated for an award for like a year later.
That was that web series.
That was the web series.
Yeah,
Pardon
that
me,
was that
pardon
web.
me.
No, that's fine.
So that's in a time today where it's even more prevalent for web series to be a place for actors to go to and be able to showcase their talents. You were kind of entering in when they were relatively new. So was that an exciting challenge for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of obsolete at the time. It didn't exist.
Right.
I didn't even know what a web series was. A lot of us didn't, I don't think. But it was high quality. It was done really well. I'm still connected to a lot of people that were tied into that production. A lot of them are still working in the industry and have grown. We've all kind of grew from that moment on. But it was an exciting opportunity coming from Pittsburgh, going into New York, to be behind a camera or in front of a camera and working with other professionals that had either been working in this field already or embarking on this career like I was at the time.
And then from web series snowballed kind of into like Netflix and those other things that have given actors other opportunities to not have to be on a traditional network television show.
Sure.
So there's a lot of exciting opportunities now for actors.
There are. I was actually having a conversation today with my agent, who I adore, Chelsea McInnes, and she's at UTA, United Talent Agency, and we were talking about the wild, wild west of streaming platforms, and it's a catch-22 because it's a lot of great opportunities for actors, and there's so many more projects coming in on different streaming platforms, Amazon, Hulu, Apple, and then Disney launched today, and then there's going to be so many things. But because everything is brand new, you have to watch as an actor. The pay will change, and it has already changed. And there's nobody, and there's no rule book on how to follow that. I think that in network and prime time, you kind of work up your time, you put in your time, and you find your quote, you get your quote, and then producers and productions match the work that you've already done and kind of put in the years behind. For streaming, they kind of just say, you got the job. Do you want it or not? Because somebody else will.
Right.
And it's a harsh reality that if you decide to say no, just like anything else, I guess, you take the gamble and somebody else will totally pick it up behind you if you don't. But it could go off and be the next hot thing, and that might be your next calling card, but you're definitely going to take a pay cut. So now, because of streaming, even though there is more opportunity, the counter is you won't even get close to paid as much.
What I find also interesting about that is a lot of the network series now having more limited seasons, just like the streaming, to keep people's interest up.
Right.
And so there are only like 10, 12, 18
sure.
episodes as opposed to the 24, 26 that it used to be.
For sure, yeah. I mean, people are just trying to hold on to viewers as much as best as they can, because pretty soon TV will be gone.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
And you can watch everything on your phone now.
Right.
So, now you also starred on Boardwalk Empire.
I did.
You were Chanteuse.
Yes.
What was that like, combining your love of singing with your love of acting in one project?
I was supposed to come on for a 2-day arc, and it was really just going to be in and out. So I thought that I was coming in as the singer, and then they decided to keep me on for 2 seasons and built me into this much bigger role. And I'm happy that I never really got a chance to think about it very much, because it totally would have freaked me out. I mean, it's like, you have Jeffrey Wright and Michael K. Williams and Steve Buscemi and Jack Houston, and I mean, all of these unbelievable greats just like chilling around, you know, Michael Shannon's just smoking outside.
Yeah.
And all of my scenes really interacted with everybody. And if I would have known from day one that I was going to be there until last day, I would have shot myself in the foot, and I would have somehow screwed it up and sabotaged myself just out of fear and anxiety.
Yeah.
That would have been the case. So there's always a reason for everything, and the way that everything is supposed to work itself out, because truly I really do think if I knew the possibility that I was about to go on, and the ride that I was about to be on,
Right.
I would have screwed it up somehow.
You also released music as Margot B. What was that like, but like actually succeeding in putting out your own music and separating it from your acting? And did you prepare in different ways for each thing? Do you have like a different mindset when you're doing something with acting than when you're being not more vulnerable as a singer, but it's kind of a different.
I would say more
different beast.
vulnerable, yeah, for sure. Totally. I think that my music came first before my acting career took off professionally. Training all came at the same time, but professionally, the music did come first. I was already 3 albums in before I got to New York.
Okay.
A lot of that material hopefully will never see the light of day. I'm sure it will, but I really hope for you all it will not. I was a baby. I sounded like a child, and I loved music, and I had a lot of passion and a lot of talent for what it was worth at the time, but I'm a totally different human and different singer and performer than I was then, as I am now.
Right.
So that's for my music stuff. As far as feeling how it felt for Margot B and Margot Bingham, the Margot B came before the Margot Bingham came. Margot Bingham came just because they wouldn't take me on for Margot B for acting.
Right.
So I had to take my last name, which is fine. As far as the artistic setup of everything, it's definitely, I wouldn't say easier, but there's an ease about acting that you can hide behind somebody else that is not given for music.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think the performers or the musicians that do find that alter ego or Sasha Fierce about them are so smart, because they could really put themselves out there. When I do my own performances around New York, which I still do often, it's scary because I have to be myself. People expect just to see Margot. And it's usually kind of, it's a lot of self-deprecating remarks on stage in between songs, because it's so bizarre, and I'm also not used to it anymore. I don't perform as much as I did once before. But with acting, I can wear the character as long as I want to hold on to her, and then whenever I want to let go of her, it's my prerogative, and I can go home and let go of her there, or I can let go of her at lunch and be myself.
Right.
I'm definitely not a method actor. I don't need to go on that ride to get the result that I like to get. But I definitely do hide behind characters that I build in the time that I take to build them. So it's a different setup.
Now, if you go through your IMDb credits, you've worked very steadily since you started.
Yeah, been very lucky.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah,
that you have
lucky.
that. Were there times when you felt like you may throw in the towel, or not really, because you A, had the passion that you were going to keep going no matter what, but B, you did work steadily. So did you ever have that questioning phase?
For sure. I mean, right before New Amsterdam, I did. I ran out of money. I was doing catering first, obviously, when I came here, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But then I went into wedding singing, and that was an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
I got paid great.
You get paid,
I get paid
good money.
great, good money. It's a killer workout.
Yeah.
And
so
like I got like a free
there.
gym class for the night.
Yeah.
And I love weddings. I'm like a hopeless romantic. I love weddings. I love seeing the bride and seeing their first dance, seeing the groom's first dance. You know, like I love them so much. I loved to be able to be that person to sing the song for their
Right.
special day.
Yeah,
It
and
was
people
just
may
so
look down on that, like, oh,
awesome. Oh my
what kind of actress is she or
gosh.
singer is she? She's
I
doing weddings,
love
but
that.
like that's a major
I
portion of somebody's life that you are
loved
just
it.
being a memory.
Totally, I loved it. I remember one time I was singing at a wedding, and I was on Boardwalk at the time, but on Boardwalk I didn't get paid anything. I mean, I got paid day rate, and they just like never renegotiated my contract. So even though I was technically a recurring or semi-series regular, I didn't get any of that. So it was really hard for me to be able to just pay my rent with the amount of work that Boardwalk was giving me. So I had to keep up my third job. I had basically two jobs. I had to be on set. I had to be in studio recording the songs for Boardwalk.
Right.
And then I had to have another job to be able to pay for living.
Right.
So I was on this fabulous show, and then it still couldn't pay my rent. And I was at this gig, and this bridesmaid came up to me, and she was like, "Excuse me, my husband and I just have this bet that you're not the girl from Boardwalk, because like, why would you be here?" And I was like, "How much was the bet?" She's like, $150. I'm like, "Well, I'm getting twice as much as that tonight, and you lost the bet because I am the girl from Boardwalk."
Yeah.
And she's like, "So why are you here?" I'm like, "Because I need to pay my rent." And the misconception that people have when people saw me from my hometown on Boardwalk, the comments were, "Whoa, big shot! Whoa, she made it!" And in some way, I did. I guess I broke through and I got a yes.
Right.
But I still have to work really hard to be able to pay my rent.
Absolutely.
And I think that people think as soon as you get a job, you're golden, you're good. And
that might be the case for like Julia Roberts or somebody in that echelon of,
right.
But for people who are starting out or who've had a nice recurring gig, but
right.
it's still hard to make ends meet. It's
Totally.
no different than any other American trying to pay the bills.
Totally. And I think that that's really important for people to learn that you have to make sure that you put things away, and you have to make sure that you're smart about savings. I was never good with money. I'm changing that now, and because I have to,
Right.
Unless I want to continue to do this rat race of booking, getting it, spending it, losing it,
Right.
having this lull,
Right.
what am I going to do? And then booking again, having it, spending it, losing it. So it's like this constant reoccurrence of just having enough and then it's gone.
Right.
People need to be smarter with how you spend money so that during those lulls, because right before New Amsterdam, I did have a massive lull. It was, even though on my IMDb it looks like it's just recurring, you know, like it's like, oh, she's working, but 5 months in between can hurt.
Can be a lot. That's a lot.
It can hurt.
What other person can say they can go 5 months without a paycheck?
Totally.
I think we saw with the furloughs and all that other stuff that went down this year.
Yeah.
That's wasn't even a month and a half, and
Right.
people were scrambling.
Right. It's
So-
crazy.
Now that you brought up New Amsterdam, let's talk about Evie.
Yeah.
When you booked the role, did you know that it was going to be recurring, or did this come about because of your chemistry with Jocko and viewer reaction to your character?
I actually don't know how the viewer reaction has been. A lot of people are just like, "Hunka, Jocko," and all these girls are very into him. I hope that they like us together. I adore him. He's so sweet. I know that you've had him on the show, and he's a doll. But no, I didn't know that it was going to be recurring when I came in. David Scholner, he was the first one to bring me in, our creator, and I actually worked with his wife, who was a casting director on The Family on ABC. So I remember the night that they got picked up. I was at I was at the UTA party because we were all signed to the same company, agency. And she was telling me about her husband's new show that just got picked up, New Amsterdam. And I was like, "That is so amazing. What's this about?" And she's like, "This is a doctor show. It's a spin-off of this story." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Congratulations." So when I got the call in to come for this role, I was so excited because I remember that moment of him being so excited. And I was so pumped for both of them.
Yeah.
So when I came in, it was just like a love fest. He was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, we made it. Not thinking that I actually was going to get the role, but I was just pumped just to go in and just be able to get a chance to audition for him. But it's been a great ride, and the extent of how my character has stayed on, and the kind of world that she's going to be going into, and the path that she continues on, that the writers have written in for me this season, and with the talks of possibly next season.
That's what it's going to be right now. I know that you guys were renewed.
Hopefully.
You're still filming though this
We're
season,
still
right?
filming.
You're still filming.
Yeah, we're still filming. We have 2 more weeks, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But I hope that they'll bring me back. But it's definitely been a lot larger of an arc than I thought that it was going to be. But it's great to be able to work in New York, and
Yeah.
I get to stay home and stay in my apartment.
What I like about New Amsterdam, other than it being a phenomenal show, is they do use their recurring cast quite heavily.
They do.
I've interviewed Alejandro and Christopher
Oh,
Casarino
yeah.
and Van de Vat, and you guys are all in quite a few episodes and have substantial
Totally.
parts. Not like, oh, I'm Jocko's girlfriend, I'm going to make a phone call. When are you coming for dinner?
Right.
And then you're out the door, and then you
Right.
don't see you for 3 weeks.
Right.
You guys are a substantial part of their scenes in the episodes that you're in, which is nice.
Yeah, I really do feel like they have their center first teamers, but then they create their show almost like a village, including their producers and directors and writers that are on the show. If you were ever in a table read in our stages, it's such family, and it's such a unit that you can really feel us almost like holding hands around each other, like we are a village and nothing can break it. So that's kind of how they go into their recurring characters too.
Yeah.
And they think of it like that, like we're all the same village, so we just like all have to help each other out, and like lean on each other when like one of the legs is a little weak, so we got to go back. Janet Montgomery had a baby this year, and first time mom, and it was very exciting, but that was one less doctor on the ground. So,
and someone who was heavily featured
totally
in the beginning.
So we had to kind of figure that out, or I mean, not we meaning me, but they did. But we were all ready to pick up the pieces and help support until she was ready to come back. So it is a lot of the kind of pass off, holding hands, strengthening each other vibe, which is really rare to find, and really hard to find for a first time season. It's I've never seen that before. Usually you see that for like season 3, season 4, when it's like already a well-oiled moving machine.
Yeah.
But you could tell that this is going to go for years because the way that they've already set it up.
The characters are very likable. There's no like, oh, I'm the douchey doctor, or I'm the
Right.
McDreamy
Oh,
doctor,
thank
or I'm
God.
it seems like a true ensemble show.
Right, it is.
Which uses their recurring cast as a big part of the ensemble, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You did tease a little bit about what's going to be coming down the pike for the rest of season 1. Is there anything you can say additional to that, where you won't get in trouble? Or?
Honestly, no, because
Okay.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a regular on the show, I get the episodes a day before the table read. Sometimes the day of the table read, which is a little like,
nerve-wracking.
okay. But I love the role so much, so it's good just to jump right back into it, and it's.
How long did you and Jocko have to work together to get the chemistry that comes across on screen? In terms of your feeling it, when did you feel that you guys?
I felt
really
like it kind of
connected?
clicked by the 4th episode that I was on. It was really off the bat that I felt extremely comfortable with him, but personally, I'm a little bit more of a harsh critic on myself. When I saw myself click into Evie was definitely by my 4th episode.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit because I've never been on a fast procedural like this. I did Blue Bloods, but that was like an episode off, and I thought that was going to be recurring. It was supposed to be, but that ended up not, and I felt way more in tune with that. But there was a lot of action involved, so I could really get into the body of that character. With this, it was a little harder because all of the focus was around the doctors, and I was just kind of like weaving in and out.
Right.
So I had to kind of find my place. I had to find my soundtrack and find my cadence, and I finally did by the 4th.
What are you going to do with your downtime now that you're going to be wrapping up filming? Do you have anything?
I'm hopefully going to be working.
Yeah.
I hope I don't have any downtime. I actually today I just turned down a job offer that I got because I just don't want to do nudity right now. So, and I wanted to tell you that on camera because that's a real thing. And to all the actors that are listening, you can say no. I know that somebody else will pick it up. I know that they won't have a problem finding somebody else. I'm sure that they had a lot of other great opportunities and other actors to pick on, but it's just not right for me right now.
I think that's extremely important for young actresses to hear, and for you to feel so empowered that, oh, well, I don't have anything lined up right now. I better take this job because what if I fall into that trap where I have to go sing at weddings again?
Totally.
So I think that's really empowering for young actresses and actors. I mean, because actors probably get offered the same sort of, like male actors probably get offered the same kinds of things.
Yeah,
so
and it's definitely
it's
definitely. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm not panicking a bit because we work so hard to get a yes, and then all of a sudden we do get a yes, and then we say no.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. In the theory and percentages of how many times and money and time that you put yourself out there, memorize all the sides, put yourself on camera, find somebody to read with you, go in for a self-tape, all of the things, and then you finally get the yes, and then there's something not right about it and you can feel it in your gut. You have to say no, because the day that you're going to be on set and that moment that you were worried about is going to come up, and you're going to be in that moment in that time, and you're going to say, shit, I should have said no.
What's interesting about that, though, is your gut may be telling you something, but sometimes your head kind of swoops in and is like, oh, but I need the job.
Yeah,
so
and
to
you
go
just
with your
think
gut
about the
and
money.
be smart enough to use your head and realize and have the wherewithal to say, oh, you know what, this really isn't the path I want to go right now.
Right, and you do, it is really, it's just a trust. You have to just trust that you'll be okay. And financially in your bank account, it might not look like you are. You might feel like you're strapped and you might need the money, but if it's not right for you, it's just not. And you have to set out that precedent of what you want to look like. Other people will hear that I've turned this down and they'll find out why, and then that will continue being my brand. And not saying that eventually I won't do nudity. I have done nudity in the past, and I'll probably do it again. But right now, today, I don't feel like I want to.
Right.
So, and that's all right.
And that's
to just wake up one day and just be like,
that's a great thing that you can say as an actress, knowing that this could lead me to having a hungry month or two where I may not work.
Right.
Because of turning down this project where I would have been working.
Right.
But sometimes you need to really think about the long run.
Right.
And not the, oh, I need the $1 today.
Yeah. So
That's
it's so that just happened before this, and I was actually excited to tell you that because for as much as I'm not excited to turn it down, obviously because of just another thing coming in, but thinking about keeping up with relevancy and you know, staying out there and working with a great group of people and a whole new group of people on a new project that will have a lot of hype around it. It sucks to be able to say to be able to say no, but at the same time, I think that it's really powerful. A no is very powerful. So I just have to kind of sit in the power of the fact that I accepted that I'm not right for this, and I'll wait for the next thing to come along.
I think that says a lot about you as a person, that you were willing to do that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And that's all you really need in your life is my approval and what
I
think of you, right?
I really need.
After this conversation, I mean, you're going to start running everything by me, right? Fire your whole team.
Totally. I'm texting you all the time.
And I'm way cheaper than managers and agents. Margot, I thank you so much for taking time to meet up with me. Look forward to the rest of your season.
Thank you so much.
And hopefully, knock on wood, you're back in season 2 because we know the show is renewed. So
that's right. And also keep a watch for season 2 of She's Gotta Have It, because that comes out May 24th on Netflix.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Margot.
Thanks for having me. Hi, guys.